probably the big hot topic right now in the hunting industry is that trail cam ban that came across in Kansas on public land. You saw that, right, Dan?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of the first, Midwest big buck state that's banning them on public land. I listened to some of the stuff Exodus put out about it, and they essentially watched the hearing on it, or where they were voting, and they just kind of remarked about it. And man, it was pretty. People that were voting for it were pretty uneducated about trail cameras. I mean, they were asking, how can you tell the difference between a cell cam and a regular cam? And I mean, it was just like it looked pretty bad. Like it looked like they,
that's the case all the time. I mean, people.
I know.
Never use a crossbow, hate crossbows because you shoot stuff at 4,000 yards and you don't even have to aim and you just press a button.
Right.
They cell cams if they don't use cell cams because they think you just stick it out there and it kills the deer for you and you know exactly where the deer is and all you have to do is walk out there and shoot it.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a little reality in some of that hate, but
sure,
it ain't all there.
Right. Yeah, the one guy was, because I think I didn't get to listen. I didn't listen to the whole hearing, but they're trying to maybe get like regular SD card cameras legal and then cell cameras illegal, and the guy's like, "Well, how in the world are you going to tell what's the difference?" And the guy was like, there was a hunter there trying to. There's only another thing that was pretty bad as far as the hunting community goes was there's only 2 people that showed up to support either way,
Yeah.
So it's like, if you don't, if people aren't more involved in that, then
if it really comes down to a matter of animal harassment or something like that, where they're, like you got a few water holes or something that are just getting 1,000 of them, like they've
out west.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of that's really true, but if that's really the case, what they could do is make you register them, and you can only use so many. I think it's another case of one of those things where you outlaw the cameras. The cameras are still going to be used, and now the outlaws are going to get the deer, and they're going to get the data, and they're going to get to use them. And they'll just won't put their names on it or anything. They'll scrub them and put them out there, and they'll use them anyways. And the rest of us that behave won't have the advantage of using cell cams or trail cams.
Right.
So it's kind of a catch-22. I mean, that's something that's so easy for somebody to stick out there, and it's kind of like regulating bait in some places like Michigan. I mean, they can't stop people. Once people are using those cameras, I don't think they're going to stop. I think outlaws are still going to use them, or people that are a little shady, and I don't know how they're going to monitor that, or how they're going to, if somebody walks up and gets a camera and the guy jumps out of the bushes, which is pretty unlikely, and says, "I got you." Right. You can say, "Not my camera. I was just taking it because it's illegal."
Yeah.
You can't win. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
yeah. I don't know why I kind of wonder what brought this proposal up. I wonder why. You could probably look it up, but I'm just like, I wonder what brought it up. Like, I wonder why people wanted them gone in Kansas.
Well, I don't know. Put up a post about cell cams, and everybody that's never ever used one in their life will tell you why they're the worst thing in the world.
Yeah.
I see it all the time in posts on the forum and stuff. I mean, you shouldn't really just believe something without trying it. I mean, cell cams are not the magic pixie dust people make them out to be.
Yeah. Right.
I don't know. I'm not totally against banning them. I think the problem is that some people have like 20 or 30 of them going,
Yeah.
And then it gets to be, they're everywhere. But I think the problem people have with them, if they're really honest, and I think most people won't be honest, and they'll call me a liar. But the problem is that they think those people have an advantage over them, and they really don't want to spend the money on those kind of cameras, and they don't have the money, and they think this person has a technological advantage because of his money.
Well, that's a fact. Like, anybody in deer hunting has an advantage if you have more money. I mean, it's hard for people to hear, but like,
Well, that's the same thing I say all the time. It's not a competition.
Right.
If you make it a competition, the guy with the money or the guy that doesn't need to work or the guy with the excellent job is always going to win.
Yeah.
So, I mean, because you're giving them advantages. It's not a competition. You have to have that competition with yourself. You yourself have to decide, what you want to hold out for, what your goals are going to be, and what you can accomplish. Because we can't all accomplish what everybody else can. And if it's really about shooting the biggest buck, I mean, we can just go out and buy some giant ranch in Iowa, 1,000 acres, and
shoot big bucks.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not apples to apples. So you can't really worry about other people. You got to worry about yourself. Who cares what other people shoot or how they shoot it? What really matters is what you do. It's kind of like the guys like yourself who shoot the recurve bows and stuff.
Yeah.
You put yourself at a technological disadvantage, but I don't see you screaming that I shouldn't have a compound,
No.
And you don't see me screaming that somebody shouldn't have a crossbow, because I don't really care. I care about me and what I shoot.
Yep. Michigan Great Outdoors. He's like, he's making the argument, which is a good one, about, public land only ban isn't fair at all. Like, it's like, he's kind of right. Like, that you can use it on private all you want, and then arguably it's easier on private anyway. It's like,
I mean, if it's getting to the point where they think they have too many of them out there all over the place, how about you license them and you have to give GPS numbers where you have it? I mean, like they do bear hunting. Not that I think that they should do that, but I have to do that for bear hunting in Minnesota.
Yeah, there definitely would be ways you could.
I mean, going all the way to the just banning them thing is kind of. It's a bunch of people who don't know what they do or whatever, or don't know what cameras are capable of, that just don't like the idea of other people having cameras.
Yeah.
It's public land. If it's legal on private, it should be legal on public.
Yeah.
We own the public.
Right.
But then again, I believe in a democracy, and literally, if they did a vote, like it sounds like they did, and nobody showed up to vote for the cameras, well, they voted themselves right out of them.
Yeah.
So then, okay. I mean, if the majority doesn't want them, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, if the majority of people in Wisconsin didn't want one, I'd be okay with them banning it.
Right.
I have to wonder if it's really the majority, or if the majority just didn't show up to vote.
That's what it seemed like. It seemed like it was a very uneducated group of 8 people that voted on it. I mean, it was like a panel of people, and then, I don't know if they're deer hunters or what, some, I mean, not to have a stereotype, some of them didn't look like deer hunters, especially public land deer hunters. They didn't look like, it was a bunch of old white guys,
Well, that's the problem I got in Wisconsin, is we got that, we got a few people elite in the DNR making decisions for us when it's supposed to be in this state of democracy where the people decide. And I really, I didn't have a vote when they sold my my public land down the street here that I own.
Right.
I didn't have no vote in that. I didn't have no vote when they came out here and bulldozed all the trees out of a certain area and put giant ponds in for ducks that nobody can hunt on, and there's a huge lake there for the ducks, a whole marsh. I didn't have no vote on that. When they decided they weren't going to have food plots no more, and they're just turned that into prairie grass, and they're going to bulldoze real good deer habitat to make pheasant habitat to sell tags so that they make money, I didn't get a vote on that, and I'm supposed to. So those people that get a vote and don't go vote on it, they're fools. You should take advantage of that, because you should have that option.
Yeah, I don't think they actually had I don't think they were the ones voting. It just that
they probably had a board, right? And that's kind of what we got here, is they got behind closed doors. They're doing it when they're not supposed to.
Yeah. Yep. In this hearing, it just was 2 people, just 2 hunters showed up in favor of, or to speak to them about cell cam use, which obviously wasn't enough. It almost sounded like, in the way it was worded whenever they voted, it was real shady. Like they were like, we really don't have an option other than to pass this law because we don't have time to talk about the amendments we want to do to it. So let's just pass it, and then we'll reevaluate. We'll put an amendment in to reevaluate it in after deer season or something like that.
Yeah.
I was like,
if the hunters really don't like it, what they should do is they should do a vote and vote on whether or not those people should have jobs.
yeah, right.
I mean, we own it. I mean, they work for us. Our money and our taxes and everything pay for that. I think a lot of people have forgotten how the United States works. And when you're talking government land and government employees, they work for us, and they are treating us like we work for them and we answer to them. We don't.
Right. Gary's saying that in Wisconsin, you guys can vote online now. So he said, hopefully everybody knows that for this spring's meetings. That may be something you guys want to look into up there if you.
Yeah, we'll only put things on that voting thing that they want us to vote on. They don't put everything on there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and like they're not going to put on there to vote whether or not they're going to mow down my woods and make pheasant habitat.
True.
Deer hunters way outnumber these pheasant hunters, and they're more passionate. I can guarantee you, if there's a vote, deer hunters would come in and they'd put more of a vote in, and they would eliminate all the stupid prairie grass and stuff that they're making when it's not even natural. You let the land go and it goes to trees and brush. I'm not saying they shouldn't log and stuff. They should do things that are helpful, but I mean, we don't need to make every single forest out here, prairie grass. I mean, they took one of the very best hunting properties out here in my area that all the locals go to. They shoot huge bucks there all the time because it's surrounded by managed land. And they took that property and they decided to make it into a dog training park where you can walk your dogs, and it's all marsh. I mean, who walks their dog through water? There's one hill there, and they never asked anybody. You just go there one day and there's a dog park. It's crazy, the stuff they're doing.
Yeah.
And since they made it a dog park, I have never seen one person there in the 5 years it's been a dog park ever walking or training
a dog.
Yeah, ever.
Jesus. Well, that's another thing they could do if they're real worried about bird hunting. They ought to make it to where farmers get paid to put stuff in set aside and all that kind of stuff anymore. I mean, from what I've heard, that it's not even worth farmers to do that anymore because the government quit paying them for it.
Right.
And then I heard over the weekend there was a guy from Indiana at the seminar. I don't know if this happened around you, but around here, farmers are just tearing down woods left and right. I mean, there's a bulldozer in every woods right now in the bottoms, and farmers are pushing them in to make more fields. And the guy from Indiana told me, I don't know if it's true or not, I didn't look it up, but he told me that they changed the tax law to where that if there's not crops on that land and there's like a patchwoods or something, that's getting taxed as a residential property now or something like that, to where their taxes went way up on that land that's not being farmed. So they just push it in and farm it.
Yeah.
It's like, gosh, man, that's what would help.
Around here, they try to get every 6 inches. So they take down every tree along a ditch line, every tree along the land borders and stuff, so there's no shade on the corn. And I mean, you think about it, when the work they go through to take out a row of trees, that's one row of trees, just to make it so that they can get like one more bushel of corn. How much money are they getting for a bushel of corn? It'd be, in my opinion, it would be nice to see farms be required to have 10% be wooded or left set aside. Maybe you don't tax them for that 10% or whatever, but
or give them an incentive.
That's what gives us the land. I mean, animals need space. I mean, you can't just have solid cornfields for 20 miles. You can't have animals living in that.
Yeah. If you want to watch more videos, there's options here and here. And if you want to subscribe, you can just click right here.